Hey YouTube, it's Petey Two Finger, and I have failed. I'm working on this amplifier, which is a pedal circuit pushing a Class D amp, and it's a high gain circuit, so I'm going to use a noise gate in front of it. And I bought this preamp. It's a pedal circuit. It's called a Thunderbird. Runoff Groove is the website, and they do a lot of DIY amp in a box stuff. And they have a pretty good reputation, those guys, for doing it right and for just good sounding stuff. But it's not a business. It's just a website that's been around forever. So I found a company, 1776 Effects, that sold their Thunderbird, and I had heard about it and I had watched some demos, and I had just finished this. It's the blue amp that I made last year that has a PAL M800, Marshall JCM 800, I think. It's a JFET version of that preamp section. And that amp had a spring reverb driver with a spring tank that's like suspended by elastic band. And it has 15 18650 batteries in it. And I really liked the way that amp came out. I really did. And I wanted to build another that had more gain and possibly put a noise gate in it so I could get really high gain sound, but it would be quiet in between with no effects. Because the idea of this is for my live rig, and I already have a stereo guitar rig with all of the trimmings. So this would be just a center speaker that doesn't have any echo or delay, and it would also maybe even have a different timbre. Whereas on this stereo rig, I'm using amp modeling all the way from a clean Fender sound to a high gain. Well, I could kind of compensate for that on this center channel speaker by going clean, overdrive, or dirty. So that's the plan. And I was drunk and I ordered the Thunderbird. I didn't look at the BOM. I assumed it was JFET, and it isn't. And I just ordered it, and then it came, and then I looked at the BOM, and I was like, holy cow. This is a lot of weird parts. There's a lot of stuff I don't stock. And it used 9mm pots that I couldn't find anywhere. So I had to order stuff from like 4 different places. It took a long time, and finally I put this thing together, and I mean, I love it. It just sounds killer. You crank the gain, and man, and it's really like adjustable. Like you can get different tones out of it. It's a very flexible system, but I can't use it. It gobbles power. They didn't say anything in the 1776 effects, and I sent them an email. They said, "Oh, here, we'll answer your questions at this email." They didn't answer my questions. So, yeah, it's got a charge pump. It takes 9 volts and converts it to 24 at the expense of a lot of amperage. I tested it, and it's pulling almost an amp, almost a full amp. And what I forgot to tell you is we don't plug stuff in. Everything's done with batteries. I use 18650 lithium ion batteries. So it's just I did some math on it. I've been putting this off. I was actually going to set it up and do a real world test where I have a 3-pack of 18650 batteries, which comes up to 12.5 volts. Run that into a 7809 voltage regulator. Check everything. Write down the battery voltages. Turn it on, and let it run. Let it idle. sucking it's almost an amp of power out of this setup and see how hot does everything get and how long does it take to kill that battery pack. So maybe I should have done that before I did some rudimentary math tonight, and what the math told me in my head was my goal that I hit for battery death, meaning this project needs to run X long, is 8 hours minimum, 12 hours realistic. And for me to hit that goal, I would have had to install 3 times as many batteries as I'm comfortable with. And they have to go through a VREG, voltage regulator, which that gets hot and it's wasting energy. So this was just like petey screwed the pooch. Big time. I ended up with 2 noise gates. Neither one of them work. Somebody sold me a counterfeit JFET, and that guy didn't even, without any questioning, just refunded my money. He's in Oklahoma City, that guy. So if you're on eBay and you're buying stuff and there's a vendor with an American flag coming up and there's any question about authenticity on this part, I wouldn't buy it from him. I would not buy it from that guy. Anyway, if you pay attention, the really, really popular Marshall in a box is the Angry Charlie. And specifically the version 3 is the one with all of the gain. So it's a 5-knob affair, which is what I really want. I would like to have 6 knobs. I'd like to have that presence knob. My setup, there's an additional volume knob for the master volume on the amp board. And then which I will run a noise gate, there's another knob for the noise gate. And when we're talking about the amount of space I have to play with, this is kind of small. The amps I build are about the size of a shoebox or a little bigger. So to fit more than 7 or 8 knobs in that area is pushing it. Unless you double stack them, and like that's what I did on the amp I made last year. There's 2 rows of controls on it. So it is what it is. I'm here to tell you I screwed up. I bought something and I didn't read the fine print. And you should never do that. That was a huge mistake. I was drinking when I did it. And it goes to show I am not perfect. I come on here, run my mouth all the time. And I try to be realistic about, who I am and my shortcomings and my abilities and high points. But this was definitely a low point today. But you know what? How many things have I built where it worked out okay and the thing worked? I was able to get it going within that first night of firing it up. It's everything. Everything I build fires up within the first night. Then every once in a while there'll be something like I couldn't get these. There's these pair of fuzz pedals that I built, and only one of them worked. The Millennium Bypass fucked me up, and then we had 3 PCBs that we bought from Osh Park, and they were all bad. They just didn't work, and they wouldn't refund me. The guy who designed them told me, "Look, I never said I was an electronics expert." He called himself Quantum Effects. So yeah, Petey fucked up. I screwed the pooch. I bought this Thunderbird Dundee thing, and at some point I realized, like, hey, this thing needs a honkin' power supply. Like, you can't run it off batteries. You can't. It draws almost 1 amp. And they didn't say nothing about that at 1776 Effects. Nothing. If you go to Runoff Groove, in the first paragraph it says this is designed to run off of a high output power supply. It doesn't say you can't run it off batteries, which it should. It should say don't even think about running this fucking thing off of batteries because you're gonna be hating life if you think you can get away with that. So for me moving forward, which I'm coming up on the end of my career as far as amp building. I've got to pull the plug on it. When I'm done with this Tweed amp, I really think I might be done. I really do. Initially, the builds were powered speakers. They were just a speaker with a power amp in it. There's no preamp or no tone shaping. And now it's turned into this idea of, oh, I got a center channel, and that is kind of, it needs something, to make it seem like a guitar amp. So, one of the ones that I really wanted to do was the diesel. There's a diesel amp. It's a high gain amp, the VH4, I think it's called. And then there's a pedal that you can build, and they sell that board. So I was thinking, oh man, I could build like a high gain metal amp. So I don't know. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe that'll be really the last one. But as it stands now, this Thunderbird, tonight I ordered a PCB for JHS Angry Charlie, which is a Marshall JCM simulator that runs off 9 to 18 volts. So I got to see. I got parts coming in. I've got the proper JFET. Hopefully, please Lord, let it not be a reality that they make a counterfeit 2168 SKE JFET, the Hitachi one that's really rare. I hope they don't make a counterfeit, because if they do, I'm sure that's what I'm waiting on. Another fake that doesn't work. And then the Vactrol for the Dodd 230, because I have two. I have the MXR muffler and the Dodd, which uses a Vactrol, which I ordered that proper Vactrol. So waiting on that stuff to come in. The Thunderbird is going to get boxed up as a pedal, and I could run that off of a 9 volt 2 amp power supply. 9 volt 1 amp. It just draws a lot of power, and it's a great pedal. If you like that high gain thing, that type of sound, this is where it's at. It's got this tilt EQ along with the regular EQ, and I just really like that. I wish I could put this in an amp. I really do. I know I'm going to end up feeling like like if I ever end up with a place indoors where I can make music and crank it up, that Thunderbird is going right into an amp box. I'll build an internal 9 volt 1 amp power supply into it. There'll be a power cable on it, and it'll run off wall power. But as it is now, the Thundy's going to get boxed up as a pedal. We're going to build the Angry Charlie, which is a JHS JCM 800, which has a lot of gain. It's a 5-knobber, volume gain, bass, mid-range, and treble, which is perfect. And then I got to figure out which, more than likely the Dodd 230 will go in there. And I need to figure out, is it passable at 9 volts? Because I've got another circuit running on 9. Can I goose it up to 16? Can I get the noise gate to run at 16, 18 volts? I think four of these batteries would be 16 volts. So let's say I run it off of a 4-pack. Is there a way to wire that up to just get 8.5 volts and send that to the noise gate and then send the other line? So it's going to be, there's going to be some monkeying around, hopefully no magic smoke. Um, I would have to look at the capacitor ratings and then look at what the chip is rated at. But the chips are, they always can take like 25 volts, 30 volts. But yeah, I'll need to figure that out all down the line. And at the end of the road, it isn't a sin to run the circuit off of 9 volts. It's not. It's just going to have a little less headroom. And um, I won't look at it as a compromise so much, but more than likely, that's what I'm up against. Is the actual chassis only has enough room for a certain amount of batteries, so I need to try to come to a common point. And when I ordered it, I thought, oh, it's 9 to 18. That's flexible, so more than likely I'll be able to do what I want to do. And I would really rather not be putting voltage regulators in these things. I just got to say that. They have a heat sink on them, and that just kills me. Like, I would much rather conserve my battery power than run it through something that's going to make it hot so it can lower the voltage so some circuit likes it. I don't know. I'm not very hot on that. Anyway, you guys, I screwed up. I'll be beating myself up over this one. I went and saw my daughter today. We saw our granddaughter and colored some eggs over there. And I've been watching a lot of Walt Disney. That Wonderful World of Disney was on Sunday nights when I was a kid, and they had this. They would show like the big deal Disney cartoons every once in a while, but pretty much they had lower budget content through Disney Studios that they made with just like more independent, unknown, or lower end Hollywood. It was not high budget stuff, and it was simple stories, usually adapted from children's books. Stuff like the Whiz Kid and the Giant Cougar, you know, or the Whiz Kid and the Ebola at the local cakewalk. This kind of these weird, like we saw the deer of Deacon Street, where it was this deer and he got messed up with the Chingalings, the King of New York. Anyway, that's what I've been doing, watching a lot of wholesome. We watched it's called the Return of the Big Cat with Kita. I had him sitting next to me like, you gotta see this, Kita. And it should be called the damn dumb dog whisk, because it's just all about this rabid, this horrible dog that fights this poor lynx, and the lynx, of course, plummets to its death. They're shooting at it with 12 gauges, and they're like, "There's that evil cat!" And there's this horrible rabbit, this horrible dog, and that was the return of the big cat. He returned so they could throw him off a cliff to his death. Anyway, you guys, I fucked up. I screwed the pooch on this one, and I will rectify this, but it's going to be more of these videos of me running my mouth before I can move on, so sorry.